all that we've done so far.
I'll give you 2 seconds.
2 seconds, okay. Whew, it's going to be a lot of good bloopers to edit out of this.
Humanitarian Leadership Academy has partnered with EcoWeb to create this film on immersive learning here in the Philippines.
The immersive film technology is already out there and it has been existing. But I think what we're doing as an academy is we're adding value to the local learning landscape in the humanitarian sector by attempting to use immersive films in a learning context.
The value that I got from the partnership between the Humanitarian Leadership Academy and also our organization, EcoWeb Incorporated, I see the culture of active communication and collaboration within the team. So it is important that we share different kinds of observations that strengthens our capability to really be on that location and be persevered to get whatever we want to get with Hanan's story. And as I always say, that Hanan's story is everybody's story. And with the team's partnership, we see how different it is to be immersed in a community where everyone is affected. And if everyone is collaborating fairly with the internal factors, there are a lot to learn from it.
A key learning that we've had from what has happened in the past is some of the volunteers are not prepared enough when they get to the front lines, and they get dealt with trauma, and because they weren't expecting at all the things that they see. So I think immersive filming, in a sense, gives them exposure to the actual things that are happening on the ground.
The reason I really wanted to focus on this area in the Philippines in this first immersive film is that it had both the Marawi siege happen and Typhoon Vinta happen within a short span of time. Now, things happen to people and in different parts of the world, that are tragic and devastating every day. But the difference is here that, people were internally displaced from the siege and then kept internally displaced, unfortunately, for extended period of time, and were then affected again by Typhoon Vinta. And so I really wanted to focus on the effects of internally displaced persons within their own countries, because I don't feel like they get the same recognition as refugees or crises in that sense.
The experience was actually pretty intense because I like the intensity of the coordination between, not just with the team, but also with the coordination from the external people, like coordinating with Hanan's family, coordinating with the government agency that will be involved, especially when going inside the ground zero. And the thing about this film, or the thing about being part of the team of the immersive film, is that even if you're not part of the culture, it seems that it's saddening and you sympathize with them, especially with the story of Hanan. It's actually bringing up, it envelopes me in the idea that the pain that Hanan has felt during Typhoon Vinta and the Marawi siege is heartbreaking.
So I have to say, as a more traditional filmmaker, from my background and the way I came through and learned my craft, I wasn't completely convinced that immersive filmmaking could have an impact. Thought it was, a gadget, a novelty, something that was interesting but extra to what filmmaking could do and how it could reach people. But I have to say now, after my experience here, that I think it's almost the purest form of documentary, if you can call it that, because you literally just set the camera in a space and let what happens happens. You can't, no control over the environment, and whatever story you're trying to tell, that just tells itself, and you have to be flexible to deal with that, but to also let people accept and breathe in and take in the space. And so it's really important to have a story that also has interesting and impactful places and spaces. I think the difference with immersive filmmaking compared to other traditional documentary filmmaking, you know, when I do a documentary, I get to choose what the people see, whereas you get to choose what you see in an immersive film, and there's so much that can be learned from that. Things that, you know, I wouldn't think are interesting to shoot or to show, you can go and look at it yourself in an immersive film. And there's something very interesting about that, to be able to allow people to have that moment in that space or in that person's point of view. And I think that's the most important thing, is building empathy and understanding for people in different places, and understanding that even if we all have different experiences, that we all have similar feelings.
I'm Grant Davis. I work with QuickSand Design Studio, which is a design studio that's based in India. And I'm working on the project, working with Lauren, shooting the film. And we've been shooting the film on the GoPro Fusion 360 camera, which is a very interesting camera in the sense that it has cameras on two sides of the camera, which then creates a 360 view of whatever location we're shooting in. So it's a way to fully immerse the viewer in the experience and in the moment, and just capture everything that's going on rather than focusing on one thing, kind of putting the choice in their hands as to what they're going to see or in the shot. So we've also, along with that, been recording the audio of the space separately on a multi-directional microphone, which is a way that we hope to create also an audio version of that 360 experience as much as we can.
It's been an incredible 5 days. I have to give it to the team here in the Philippines who helped prepare. I don't know if I've ever been so prepared for a shoot myself. Their hard work and dedication and location scouting and talking to the right people in order to make sure we had permissions to film in places really made a huge difference in this film. And I think you're going to see it when it does finally get finished, because I've never seen some of the most stunning and beautiful scenes and backdrops that we've had, and also some of the most heartbreaking and devastating situations of a normal city that people lived in every day, just, you know, no different from New York or London, you know, the ones that I've lived in, that, you know, was just lost. And it's one thing to see it on the news, and it's different to be able to explore it yourself in an immersive film. And so I really have to thank the team here for all of their hard work, because it's going to show in this project. And the biggest and most important part of this is our main contributor, Hanan. She is an absolute inspiration to me. Even just now, when we were finding a way to climb up on the roof of her old school where she was rescuing people during Typhoon Vinta, I tried to find a ladder, I tried to see if I could climb a tree, I tried to see if I could get a car, you know, whatever the safest way up was, and then she was just already up there and calling down to me, because she's fearless and she's strong and she just finds a way to get anything done. And I've kind of just let her take control of the project today on our last day, because it's her story. So if she wants to show us and tell us things, you know, then what you're going to be seeing in the film is from Hanan's perspective, 100%.
The favorite shot that we did, or the favorite thing that we went on to, is when we went to Ground Zero, especially when we went to Hanan's home, especially in Dabdaban in Ground Zero. And it was really hard to see her cry while Lauren is trying to film her, and while we, outside the vicinity of her house, we tried to listen to Hanan's cry, and it's really heartbreaking to listen to that and to hear everything. During Hanan's interview, she was talking a lot of Typhoon Vinta and how that typhoon has affected her and her family and also her community. But when we went to Ground Zero, we saw how painful it was for her to see the things that was left during the siege, to feel that devastation inside when she saw how wrecked the house is, how burned the things that she saw, especially the pictures, the bags, her favorite clothes, their memories, the stories untold inside that house. It's heartbreaking to see that.
I especially like the interview of Hanan when we did it inside a private space. I think that her story resonates with a lot of people, and especially the internally displaced people. And a lot of documentation has been going on with people in the evacuation centers and how they're living there. But about 80 or 90% of the people that have been affected in the Marawi siege are home-based. So they have moved to their relatives and the community. So I think having that experience and that story is crucial, especially for organizations who are trying to work in terms of response and rehabilitation and recovery, and to take all that into consideration, including their culture and including how they want their lives to be rebuilt.
So looking at immersive filmmaking today, it was really interesting because we found a moment where Lauren kind of took a step back as the director, and Hanan kind of took over herself and was taking us to different locations that were important to her story. And that was really cool because it really brought out the fact that the technology allows both the creator and the character in the film, the contributor, to really kind of take more control and put across the things that are most important to them.
Malaki po ang matututunan nila dito dahil yung ginawa po nating immersive film ay nagpapakita ng tunay na karanasan ng mga tao na kahit sa ganun pa man dinaanan sila ng bagyo, dinaanan sila ng isang gera, ay hindi po sila natitinag na bumangon muli at magtrabaho para sa kanilang sarili at tumulong sa kanilang kapwa.
So this is really Hanan's story, and it's the story of someone who survived both the Marawi siege and Typhoon Vinta, and found recovery through both of those very traumatic events through helping other people. And so through her story, I really hope that people can understand what the effect is of having internally displaced people from one event and letting them remain displaced until another event can somehow happen, and then hurt and affect these people, and the trauma that happens from those, and how through helping other people and psychosocial support you can help yourself as well. And just her strength, I mean, it's incredible, and you get to explore all the different environments she's lived in and that she ran to and that she's found sanctuary in.